Hi everyone, I have made a AI coach interview that helps me to prepare for interviews concerning AI engineering role, and I will answer those questions with you. It's actually a notebook that works in Kaggle, and it uses Whisper, that is a speech to text model where I record myself using the browser API that use the microphone of my computer, and then it sends an HTTP request to AI HTTP, that is a asynchronous web server for Python framework, and then from that voice as a binary file to Whisper model. In this case, I use the small one, but there's also the base one. There's also the medium dot en for English. And then from that, it sends to another model, large language model, Qwen 2.5. And then Qwen 2.5 answer the question and then send the JSON back to the browser. This is the code here. I will run it. So we install, I will run it with you. We install Faster Whisper. It contains our model, Whisper model, and then we have AIO HTTP. We have Python.m that has the environment variables. We have PyNG ROK. Here is a tunnel that helps us to use our local application accessible as an HTTPS accessible to internet. So while I run this, if somebody has that link, they will be able to access that as well. And request is the library that helps us to make HTTP requests. So this is the model that we use, medium.en. We run it in GPU C4, and this is the precision, half precision, and the language is English. And then we have the HTML that we load. The HTML, you will see it. And then here we load it on a local host. We run everything on the local host. You see it's running already. The health is good. We will not use ngrok in this case, but we will use Cloudflare tunnel. Cloudflare we downloaded from GitHub. It's already installed now, and then we import everything. So we connect it to our local port 8081. So this is the link here. That's what we will load. This is the AI interview coach. So what we will do, this is how it is. We have some questions. Practice mode, you can choose if it's sequential or by category, and you select the category here. And then we have some current question. You can ask the next question. You can record your answer, get the AI feedback. You can clear, you can save your answer. When you save your answer, it will appear here, and these are all the questions that I have here. So I will start answering by the about you. Let's do that together. So let's click next question. So it says, tell me about yourself in 60 seconds. I will allow the mic. I am a Power Platform developer, and I automate business processing and workflows. And at the same time, I am a self-directed AI project. I have built projects like rack systems and fine-tuning of Phi 3.5 vision. and also I have done some voice applications as well. And I am looking to transitioning into more AI role. Yeah. I think that it has caught my answers. So once we do that, I will click on get AI feedback. It says good length. It's asking me to avoid filler words. And I will save my answer. It's saved here. And then let's move to the next question. What is your biggest strength as a developer? My biggest strength as a developer is to understand the business need, the business issue, what are the current process that the end user are facing, and what are their pain points. Once I know that, I'm able to acknowledge the data sources impacted, the database or SharePoint, and the end users, and I'm able to connect them together to the technology stack that I have, that is Power Platform, the Copilot Studio, Power Automate, Power Apps, Power BI, Python code, and all the LLMs that we have, the RAG system, fine-tuning systems, and the classic models like Prophet for Facebook and LightGPM, and also XGBoost for classifier for predictive maintenance. Let's get AI feedback. Let's save the answer. Let's clear. Next question. What is your biggest weakness and what are you doing about it? My biggest weakness is over explaining to non-technical stakeholders. Like you have noticed, right now when I explain, I go in depth into technical and they can get confused and lost. While now I'm learning to give responses in 3 sentences and saying the only necessary items and let the other people ask me follow-up questions if they are interested to know more. It's telling me to always say what I am doing to improve the weakness. I think I said it by saying less and practicing it. You guys let me know. I saved the response. Clear. Next question. Where do you see yourself in 2 years? I see myself as a mid-level AI engineer building real production AI enterprise product like web scrapping, and doing like AEO, that is called about how the LLM pick your website with the relevant answer where it doesn't have dead links, RAG system, fine-tuning, classical model for demand forecasting, and also predictive maintenance and prediction. Get AI feedback. Let's save the answer. Let's clear. Let's go to the next question. Two verses. That's a good question as well. So let's go to another category. Let's go to AI concept. What is the difference between RAG and fine-tuning? When do you use each? RAG is retrieved augmented generation, retrieval augmented generation, and is used to answer users' questions based on grounded documents that are inside the company. And the difference between that and fine-tuning is that RAG use constant changing documents, so you will have one source of truth, of approved one. It doesn't use outdated resources, while fine-tuning is that you use a LLM that has billions of data, but you train like 1% of its layered parameters so that it can learn your specific output format that you want, or a new writing style that is according to your company policies, and also having a certain behavior. So the fine-tuning, I have fine-tuned 3.5 vision using the dataset Doc VQA for visual question answering, and over there I have trained that model with LoRa. I have trained that model with the parameters and get the LoRa adapter that is just a small file based on those data sets that we clip on the LLM, and that's what we are able to use after. It was quite long. Let's get AI feedback. It says good length. I would say it was quite long. And it's asking me to put GPU memory savings for QLoRa. I will, but it will make the answer even longer. I will save the answer, making sure it's here clear. Let's go to the next question. What is a transformer model? The transformer model is the new architecture of new large language models like Llama or GPT. How does it work? It reads all of the sentence at once to understand it, and to be able to explain each word of the sentence, it uses what is called attention to another word in the sentence. For example, the sentence, a cat sat on the mat because it was tired. If we want to analyze it, to explain it, the attention would be on cat and not on mat because the cat was tired. So that's how it works. And it's really fast. The transformers, they are really used because they are fast and very efficient. What is an embedding? An embedding is when we take some token ID that has some numbers and we put them together in a vector. For example, if I have multiple words, each of those words, they have their token. The word unhappy is probably has two subword that is on that has its token, happy that has its token, and then embedding use an embedding model like All-Mini LM-L6V2 or Nomic embed text to be able to take those tokens and to put them inside a vector database. And each embedding model has its own dimension vector. Let's save the answer and get AI feedback. What is a vector database? Give an example. A vector database is a database that uses ingested documents that have been indexed, that have been splitted into little chunks, and each of those chunks is put as a list of numbers. That's what we call vectors. For example, if I have a file with many texts and each chunk that we have predefined has 1,000 characters and 200 overlapping. So each chunk in the database after the embedding models embedded those files, they will have each chunk with those sizes and with the embeddings that are the size dimension of the embedding model. For example, in my RAG assistant project, the embedding model All-Mini LM-L6V2 had a dimension of 384. So each file that I had ingested in the system, they were separated in little chunks, and each chunk were having the dimension of a vector of 384 size, and all of items of those vectors were numbers with a precision of full full float point of 6 dimension. I'm still working on not over explaining it. Get AI feedback. Save answer. And I believe I haven't really responded to the question. A vector database, I should have answered about ChromaDB, that is a vector database and how it is structured. I would have said ChromaDB is very fast, it's very lightweight, and it's good to test locally. Like I'm testing right now, ChromaDB. It has an admin page that you can run and see the dashboard with the tenant, the database that you use, and the collection name that you have chosen with all of the index items. And to be able to access the ChromaDB admin command line, what you have to do, you have to run the ChromaDB server on the port 8000, and then that's how you access it. I think that would be a better response for it. Let me know what you think. We'll clear the answer. Next question. What is the difference between float 16, float 32, and BF16? Those are the formatting of the large language models numbers. Large language models, they have been trained on a large knowledge, they have been trained on documents, on books, on internet, and their knowledge that they have each are called weights that are numbers. And to represent those weights, we can represent them in float 32, that is called full precision. That means it has a mantis, it has a sign, it has an exponential, that is number of character after the comma, and it has a number, the number before the comma as well, and it's called full precision. And we have float 16 that is called half precision, And BF16 is used for all large language models as well. What is PERT and why is it useful for fine-tuning large models? PERT is like a clip that you use to take your LoRa and add that extra layer of knowledge to the large language model. And then after that, you export the LoRa adapter file to be able to use it after. Yes, so perf is what we use to clip the LoRa and add that extra knowledge in top of the general knowledge of a pre-trained large language model, like I did with fine-tuning of 5.3.5 vision and even 5.3.5 instruct the text one. Let's save the answer. Let's get AI feedback. It's telling me to mention GPU memory savings. That is why QLoRa is used. Valid point. Next question. What is the difference between supervised and unsupervised learning? Supervised learning is when you train your model with some data set that have already some labels. That means it has a data, but it also has a label what it means. And unsupervised learning is when you have to let the large language model itself identify the pattern or the grouping of the data or the structure itself and guess it. I have used both. The supervised one, I have used it with my fine-tuning of 5.3.5 vision, where that model, the doc VQA dataset already had the images, it had the question, it had the answers. So what the large language model does is to learn to answer the valid answer that are already given to it and just to adjust until it's more accurate according to those answers. While the unsupervised one is, for example, the RAC assistant ministry that I have built, where the model use indexing for document is not trained, is just use similarity search, where the question that the user asks, the embedding model put it in terms of token and then send it to the database for a search and does a vector distance, and based on the vector distance that is called squared R2 distance, it examines is that chunk close to the answer that we are looking for or no, and then we also do the duplication of answer to remove overlapping ones. I really think this one was really long. I could do better. What do you all think? Yes, it says a bit long. Let's save the answer. What is hallucination in LLMs and how can RAG reduce it? Hallucination is when AI, the LLM, does not know the answer but still imagine it because it wants to give an answer. I had a project where I used GPT 4.1 mini and it was about to find in each invoice that was scanned document find the project name, find the date on the first page because it was a multi-page. And you have to notice that those documents, sometimes they could be horizontal orientation, sometimes vertical, so it was not fixed. And since the the file has sometimes multiple dates, the models will hallucinate. It can see 5/31/2026, but read it as 8/31/2026. I will ask the model, give the confidence score and justify it. It will say, I am confident of 0.95, that is 95%, and even give a justification that is what is reading while it's not even true. So a way to go around it is to add some guardrails and say, if you hesitate a little bit, don't overthink, say I couldn't find anything or return empty. And now RAG reduce it because RAG use your grounded document knowledge. So if it's not already indexed inside your database, vector database, the large language model will not return anything. And as a fallback, that we have given another guardrail is to the system to say, if you don't find anything, give an answer that is contact a pastor for follow-up or contact assistance. What do you all think? I'm trying to be calm. I'm trying to be concise of the time. Very sure this one is long. Yes. Let's keep all the answers. What is a system prompt? A system prompt is what is called generative AI that creates content. A system prompt is where you ask the system to behave in a certain way. You can ask the system to use the context that it has been given and to use the answers that it has been given at context to generate a response to you. For example, for my RAG application, I have this system prompt that says you are the ministry RAG application. Take this question that is passed at context, respond using the language that is passed as context too, because the RAG app supported 6 languages: Zulu, French, English, Portuguese, Spanish, and another language, and answer the question to the user. When you don't know and when you are confused, use the fallback response that is contact the technician for assistance. That is system prompt. This is a good question. I don't think I have ever answered this before, but we are in an interview. Let's do this. What is temperature in LLM generation? What happens at 0 versus 1? Temperature in LLM generation is where the LLM goes from moderation to high consideration, high filtering. That means when it's 0, it can give any type of answer. It can act friendly without filtering the words. But as it gets closer to 1, it becomes minutious of what words it uses and use moderate answers. How did I do? This coach feedback that I have designed, it only says if I'm confident, if it has filler words of good length. So it's not an AI expert, so don't mind its response. What is tokenization? Tokenization is the process of taking a word by an LLM and putting it into by a tokenizer and putting it into a token that is a number that is called token ID. Different LLMs have different tokenizer. For example, BERT has word piece, and GPT-2, GPT-5, it has sentence piece is for llama, and GPT-2, GPT-5 has byte pair encoding. And then there is a library, a Python library that is called Transformers that has some classes like auto tokenizer that helps to auto detect what tokenizer to load depending on the model that you downloaded to use. Yeah. What is multimodal AI? Give an example from your work. Multimodal AI is when the large language model that you use, or the vision model that you use, take in account an image and a question and gives an answer. For example, the fine-tuning of the Model 5 3.5 vision that I did, it uses what is called VQA, visual question answer, where it takes an image with a question and it gives an answer. And also the data set that was used for that was following the same pattern. I also used that in my project BLIP Salesforce, where the goal was to take a judge, an engine, a motor, a belt, those type of engine as a picture and send it to the AI model, and the AI model will detect what part is faulty and have a database to load the repair steps based on the manual and design a work order with all the tools that have to be needed, all the steps that have to be followed, and the technician skill to do that repair and save it as a CSV or text file. There's no next question in this category. Let's go to another category. Let's go to RAG project. Explain your RAG application. What problem did it solve? The RAG application that I have designed and built is answering questions to any person from the congregation, where before, when people ask questions on the website, it has to go to a specific person. Sometimes they could be busy. It can take hours to days, and for them to answer the question, they have to go on SharePoint folders that are scattered and trying to find the most accurate answer to answer the person. But what it does right now is that we have ingested all the documents of the ministry inside the app. And then when a user asks a question, it goes and finds the answer just on those documents that have been indexed and give the relevant chunks answers to the user. And when a user also put a prayer request, it makes a summary of it. It finds the right Bible verses that are also the inside the vector database, and also design we have a system prompt for the prayer based on the files that we have in and based on the history, and then it uses that and send it to the right person, the right entity using load balancing, and then they are able to do their human review and get back to the user and pray for them and do the follow-up. So it saves time and it automates the whole process. This is less than 2 minutes. What is RAG and how does it differ from a regular chatbot? RAG, for Retrieval Augmented Generation, helps to answer your question based on grounded documents and give accurate answers at all times for the users, while the regular chatbot uses general knowledge instead of giving the most recent updated knowledge to the user. So I would say RAG is useful when you have the company policies, the HR documents, the procurement policies, the SOPs, text tip, where you want people to always be aware of the latest approved one. So it will keep changing all the time, but as it keeps changing we use in our application that I have built what is called deduplication. When we upload the same document twice, it remove the previous version and put the new version inside. So we will always have just one source of truth and the right answer. Next question, what vector database did you use and why? I have used ChromaDB because it's very fast, it's very light, and it's very flexible. It helps me to customize my pipeline for the parsers. For example, in the RAG application that I have built, I had many content types and I was able to do some different parser functions for different content type, like prayer guides. Since the formatting was different from the sermons, it was different from the frequently asked question, it was different from the overview. So for the different type of documents and the content that they had, I had different parser functions for them, and they were stored differently inside the vector store. And the good thing about it is that it was really flexible at all time. Also, I had the right metadata for all those files. For Bible parsing, for example, I had at the end the metadata I had for every Bible verse stored separately as separate chunks. That helps to answer more clearly users. I had their thematic that was comma separated. I had the Bible reference, I had the book, I had the chatbot use, and I use it when there's this issue or that issue, those type of set up and it worked perfectly. So I would say ChromaDB has also a default embedding model, all mini LM L6v2, that is fantastic. Trust me, that is long. How did you chunk your document? What chunk size and why? When I get a document to ingest in my RAG application, I use 1,000 chunks for the size, 1,000 characters for the chunk, and then overlapping characters 200. Why? Because it will be like 1 or 2 sentences, and when the user asks a question, it will help to find the next chunk available to answer that question. Let's say the user asks, what is the age range for the middle schoolers in the ministry? What it does, it will go to the database and find the first chunk that talk about the middle schooler. The first chunk at the end, it will have a sentence, and then that overlapping sentence will help on the vector distance, the similarity search, to get the next chunk as well, and to have that answer, to be able to have a more grounded answer to return to the user. And at the end, we will have a response like the children ministry from 6 to 12 is from 6 to 12 of age, and they gather maybe on Friday at 6:30 p.m. and that's how we have the right answer. So overlapping helps to guess the next chunk very fast on users' questions. It's long, it's long, it's long, it's long. It is very long. What embedding model did you use? I used the ChromaDB default embedding model in my RAG Assistant Ministry app, that is all mini LM S6v2. It has a dimension of 384. It's good, it is fast, it is precise. And I also tested and used the Olama embedding models like Nomic Embed Text, that is a 768 dimension. And I have noticed that this one is good for long document and it's more precise as well. And also I have used Olama embedding model MXBAI embed large, that is 1,024 dimension. This one is good for in terms of searching, in terms of the distance between the question that you asked and the relevant chunks that we have in the vector database. And it also is also better in supporting multi-language questions. Yes. For example, if I have a word in French, crasse, and in English, craze, the distance are closer than if I use the other models. So I would say, based on my experience, the more the models have a greater vector dimension, the more it is good on precision. It's not working anymore. When it happens like that, most of the time after 40 minutes where I'm not active here, it will stop it. So it's already stopped. That's why it couldn't register my response. So I guess we are going to stop here for today. Let me know what you think. I can do more questions so we have fun together. It's a good way for me to practice as well. Let me know what you think and see you in the next video.